Wealthy women paying big bucks to engage in bizarre rage rituals in the woods. Oh man, I'm going to play the video for you and you're all going to cringe, perhaps laugh. The story from the Gateway Pundit comes from a TikTok video that's been going viral showing these women shrieking like banshees and bashing things in the woods. And I see a lot of tweets where people are like, are women okay? My friends, because there are some women on video screaming and bashing things does not implicate all women in the absurdity and insanity of these distressed women. But of course, you take a look at this video, and I'll play in a second, where these women are screaming. And I gotta tell you, actually, the video's not even here. Let me pull it up on Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok has it on X. There are things called rage rooms. All right. And this is where people go into a room and smash things because they're angry. And I got to tell you, this ain't the way to do it. I think this is unhealthy. I think it's ultimately not a good thing to do. And I look at this stuff and I'm like, y'all need some Marcus Aurelius in your life. Okay, here we go. We got the video. Heaven help us. We got the video from Libs of TikTok here. I'm gonna play it for you. And I'm sorry, but you've been warned. So here you go. Yeah, okay. Y'all need some Marcus Aurelius in your lives. You know what I mean? Some stoic moral philosophies, because what the was that? Gateway Pundit says a weird trend has been emerging worldwide where well-off women are paying thousands of dollars to go deep into the woods and scream like hyenas at the top of their lungs while smashing sticks. They probably do a little bit more than that. USA Today reported that these events, known as rage rituals, have garnered attention on social media platforms like TikTok. Women who have partaken in these events claim they are inspired to see other females manifest their anger. Mia Benducci, an author and self-proclaimed spiritual fairy godmother, is one of the individuals organizing these retreats. She told the outlet this month that the retreats help release negative feelings and increase happiness elsewhere in participants' lives. When people do this and give themselves permission to release their anger, their capacity for joy actually expands. They're able to feel more happiness and pleasure, and they go home to their families with more gratitude and ease and peace. Banducci has led rage rituals for several years. She started doing them for herself before offering them to the general public. The process of a rage ritual is simple. Banducci explained to USA Today that participants first grab a big stick while thinking about every person who's ever crossed you, who's ever hurt you, who's ever ignored your boundaries or taken advantage of you or abused you in any way. I'm going to pause right now and just say, I think this is tremendously unhealthy. I think this is not the way to deal with your issues, and it will precipitate a weak will and a weak mind, and will ultimately harm you in the long run. But I'll get into that. Let's read more. After taking warm-up breaths, the contestants start screaming and swinging the sticks for at least 20 minutes or until their arms go limp. It's a good workout, by the way. At least you're getting that. Meducci claims the ritual is held in the woods, so participants can scream without annoying people nearby. Kimberly Helmus, a cybersecurity engineer, told the outlet she experienced surprising feelings while on her first rage ritual in Scotland 2.5 years ago. Helmus said she believed the event would address the fury she felt towards her ex-husband after their divorce, but she instead felt a sadness she's been holding in since witnessing a friend's death when she was 15 years old. I remember it was very clear, light switch moment for where I was like, oh, that's what this is about. So many times I think you can really feel a lot of stuff until you work through it. USA Today points out that while Banducci may be the most prominent figure leading these crazy rituals, she is far from alone. Secret Sanctuary, for example, is scheduled to host a sacred rage ceremony. Now, I'm not just going to sit here and rag on women. That's silly. Sure, they are doing this, but let me see. We got rage rooms. This is from PBS, WHYY, PBS. Rage rooms invite people to engage with their anger, but do they actually work? I loathe this stuff. Loathe it. It is low tier, animalistic, garbled nonsense, which I think damages the higher functions of the brain, and it is the antithesis of healing. But hold on, let's read. In 2018, Kia Tull noticed that her daughters were struggling at college. She had just failed an exam. At night she came home and she was like, I just want to pay to break something. And I'm looking at her like, you got to be kidding me. Who pays to break something? Desperate to help her daughters, she searched the internet to find some answers, and she found rage rooms. There's actually one out. There's several out here. These places took abandoned warehouses and vacant offices and turned them into businesses made for organized chaos. Some were also marketed as an alternative to anger management. Tull was looking at images of people smashing glassware, electronics, and vintage furniture with sledgehammers and baseball bats. It seemed like a perfect fit for her daughter, but there was one problem. Philly didn't have one. So she decided to ask her daughter if she'd start a business with her. Would you like to be your own boss? She said, yeah. It really piqued my interest. I couldn't sleep at night. It was on my mind so much, I started looking into doing it. 5 years later, Tull and her daughters, Nirema Jordan, and her daughter Nirema, are the co-owners of Rage Room Philadelphia. Their tagline, a place where you can F some ish up and have a ball doing it. At Rage Room Philadelphia, for fees ranging up to $30 to $100, prospective ragers, as they call them, have plenty of options to grab a baseball bat, crowbar, or sledgehammer and smash their anger away. First, let me just say, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, you don't need a rage room. We just have a shooting range where we train and we shoot stuff when we do. I don't recommend that necessarily because I don't recommend applying, taking your emotions and then focusing them on destroying things. I'm not a fan of this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a therapist, nor a great moral philosopher or anything like that. So I can't tell you what heals you, whatever. My view is simply, if you create patterns of behavior, you beget further addictions and patterns of behavior. That is to say, if you tell someone, are you feeling angry and frustrated? Smash things and be angry. What you're doing is you're directing them in that direction. They will utilize that. Instead of being a master of their minds and their will and trying to understand and control their environments, they become slaves to it. A person who gets angry and then smashes and bangs on things, that's the direction they will continue to go. I believe that things like this will actually result in people becoming more physically violent and angry and losing control instead of stopping and controlling their emotions. Now, of course, they say, and I'm not a doctor, so I'll just tell you what I do. They say that if you don't get the anger out, it builds up inside of you and then bad things happen. And I'm just like, I don't know that I believe that. I don't know. See, I like this Marcus Aurelius guy. Smart feller. Been dead for a very long time. Here's a quote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Oh boy. Talk about a smart feller. Yeah, he's right. So let's apply something like that. And plus, here's the next one. Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. You see where I take things? You have power over your mind. There is a famous quote, I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum. You've probably heard of it. Is that Descartes, I think? That's been a while since I was reading this stuff. But yes, I think, therefore I am. You can choose to think anything you want right now. But maybe the reality is, I don't know, some people don't have inner monologues, so that's the real issue. Well, I'll tell you, at least I do. And I've talked quite a bit about this, so maybe it's just me, maybe it's not you. But there's this chart where it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like, when you imagine an apple, what do you see? Some people see nothing. It's blank. Some people see an outline of an apple. Some people see a black and white drawing of an apple. Some people see a painting of an apple, a cartoon. Some people see a full visual of an apple. Me, I can see He-Man holding up an apple, spinning it around, then slicing it gently with a small blade, opening it up. There's a worm, and so I can imagine all of this. I can break it down. I can unfold the box in my mind. I can see all of these things. Power over your mind gives you strength and power over your world to a greater degree. Not everybody can do that. When I get angry, it actually is rare. It is rare that I get very angry, and mostly because, maybe when I was younger, you see me get angry sometimes on the show when I'm watching this stuff, but I would say a lot of that's more exasperation. Like, I can't believe it. What is wrong with these people? And there's an anger in that. To be fair, a lot of my venting is not smashing things in the woods, but making videos explaining these things, what my thoughts are on them and how I feel. But ultimately, here's what it comes to. let's say, I got angry skating on Saturday because I was trying to land what's called a nollie backside flip. Okay, that's a trick. And it's a trick that I've been doing since I was a teenager. And the attempt was, I'm going up a bank, an incline, performing the maneuver, landing, and then immediately trying to jump onto a ledge and slide across it, right? And it was very frustrating because the nollie backside flip is the easy component of what I was trying to do. For those that understand skateboarding, I'll just tell you, the trick was nollie backside flip on the bank, followed by frontside nose grind, frontside 360, nollie frontside 360, shove it out, which is the harder trick. And I only got like 3 attempts on it because after an hour, I couldn't even land the nollie backside flip. I got angry. I think I yelled twice and was swearing. But that's really just kind of like, I don't really have to do that. I don't know. It's just like, oh, like, let's go. It's always kind of like grunting and working out. Smashing things in the woods, I think, is a bad application of the energy and of how you direct your mind. After I yell and I'm skating, I stop and I do a little like, because there's something you need to understand. And this is, I believe to be true. I could be wrong, but this is, because I've was reading about, I try to be the best I can be every day and better. And what I learned a long time ago when I had a friend who would get really mad skateboarding, he would skate, he would get mad all the time and scream, just frustrated, angry. I learned that when you are angry, your emotion overrides your logic and it inhibits your ability to improve yourself. So when you find yourself getting angry, you're actually animalizing. You are shutting down your higher reasoning and you are inhibiting your ability to improve. Thus, I do not like rage rooms. I do not like these rage retreats. When I'm skateboarding, I get mad. I yell sometimes. True. And then I'll stop, I'll think, I'll breathe, and I will say to myself, if you get mad and you hold on to that, you will not figure out the issue. You will simply continue to struggle. So you have to stop and assess, what is the issue that is causing me to not do the thing I want to be doing? This helps me dramatically improve. Or, in the case of Saturday, I said, after an hour of making these attempts and screwing up the easier trick, you know what? Let's just call it. Not every day is your day. You can't win them all. There will always be lulls. There will always be downsides. Not every day will be the greatest day of your life, and that's totally fine as well. And that's the crazy thing about these people screaming and smashing things in the woods and looking buffoonish. Instead of stopping and asking, today, my boss was mean to me. So they go out and they go, and they smash things. Tomorrow, your boss will be mean to you again. What are you doing about it? How are you improving your situation? Here's what I do. I work for a company. I have a bad boss. He makes me angry. I think to myself, I am staring at a chessboard. There are pieces in front of me. I can only move in certain ways. I can scream and smack the board around. That doesn't do anything for me. I accomplish nothing. I gain nothing from it. What move can I make right now that will give me checkmate? When you are angry, you do not think properly. And you watch this in MMA and UFC stuff. They try, like, you want your opponent flustered and angry. This is why they try to enrage them. You wonder why it is that they do taunts. You wonder why it is that they're on the stage doing the weigh-in and then they do things to intentionally infuriate the other person. They want them to enter the ring hot-headed and not thinking clearly so that they can calculate their moves. It's all strategy. You don't want to be that person, but this is what we get. I was talking about Pearl Davis the other day. We talked about her following up from the Culture War show. And I think, I don't know. And I think she might have said I was simping or something. I don't know, whatever. But I see her as a perfect example of a UFC fighter who's too angry to like in the ring. Doesn't mean you're going to lose. Anger can be wielded. It certainly can. But like calling people fat whores or something when they're not engaging with you doesn't actually get you your goals. And so someone, what I had said was, Pearl, to me, though she is correct on many of her points, and that's fair. It's absolutely fair. But when asked on the Culture War show numerous times about what do you want people to do, which was, I don't know, I'm just describing things. Like, I'm not telling people how to live. I'm just saying that's a bad thing. And it's like, okay, well, if you're saying something's bad, you're implying there's a good, right? If I say women shouldn't behave in this way, I'm implying that there's a way they should behave. But when asked, just, I don't know. She says, I'm not telling them how to live. I'm just saying you are doing bad thing. And it's like, okay. What that really means is I'm angry. Here's a solution. I don't want a solution. I want to be angry. Actually, and I'll pull that up, that visual, I don't want a solution comic is one of the greatest comics of all time. And is it from Poorly Drawn Lines by Reza Farazmand? This is the, there you go. I'm mad. Here's a solution. I don't want a solution. I want to be mad. You know what's funny is because a lot of people say this is how women view things. Like they say, when, like I don't, this is what they say in like dating guides and stuff like that. Like these dating guys. If a woman comes to you and she's complaining about something, don't offer her a solution. She's just trying to be mad about it. And so this perfectly exemplifies this. I don't want a solution. I want to be mad. And that's what people were saying about Pearl. When you come out and say women are behaving improperly and shouldn't do it, and then you ask for a solution, says, I don't have one. She's actually just saying, I want to be mad. Doesn't mean she's wrong. It just means like, why? Why are we mad? Why are we angry? Do we want to be angry? I don't. Do other people? Perhaps they do. Perhaps the reality of these women banging things and screaming in the woods is that they just want to be that way. It's a great moral lesson that I learned as a kid. Some people want to be unhappy. And I thought to myself when I was younger, that doesn't make sense. Everybody wants to be happy, right? No, it's not true. Some people want to be unhappy. They do. They wake up and they have an addiction to it. They need to feel that unhappiness. They need to wallow in self-pity. They need to be a victim. They need to complain about it. Going to the woods and screaming justifies that the bad things in their lives are not their fault to them. The reality is, everything in your life, all of it, is your fault. Yep, I'm going there. I'll say it. And now people say to me, that's not true. You know, a car came and it hit me. I could have seen it coming, and now my car's busted and I can't get work. It's all your fault. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Your actions, your choices lead you through life, and you are in control. You always are. Some people say, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that. Your fault. I'd say it's fair to say like the only thing that's not your fault is like the circumstances of your birth. You know, some people might be born without an arm or something. Well, it's not your fault. You know what I mean? And obviously I don't mean that you are to be held accountable for the things that are happening. What I mean is you make those choices. When I was a kid, I was on my way to school, and we lived, there were train tracks on 60th. You can look this up, 60th and Narragansett in Chicago. You'll notice that Kennedy High School is there. When I briefly went there, I think for like 2 months. One day I was walking to school, and my first period was like 10 a.m. And I've told the story too about how they like, our school in 8th grade, like all of grade school was like 7 a.m. to 2:30. And then you'd get out at 2:30, you'd go to the park, you'd hang out, be home before the lights come on, maybe do your homework or whatever. And then with high school, they said, okay, from now on, you're doing 10:15 to 5:45. And it was just like a culture shock that really screwed with people. But anyway, I had to be at school at like 10. And so I'm walking to school, and there's a train. And so I sit down and I wait. And the train stops. Sometimes it happens. You've been at these, right? And I'm sitting there like, I cannot cross the train. And I look at my watch and I'm like 10 minutes later, and I'm like, okay, what normally is a 10-minute walk is now a 20-minute walk. 5 minutes later, still hasn't moved. I end up being like 15 minutes late, and I get written up or something. And then I come home and I was like, I don't remember exactly how it went down, but it's like, you got to get something signed or something. And my dad was like, you were late? And I was like, yeah, it's not my fault. There's a train. He goes, of course it's your fault. You know the train track's there. And I was like, what? But I go to school every time, and I didn't know the train was coming. And he's like, the train comes all the time. You need to leave early if there is a possibility the train is coming. That was a choice you made. And I was like, yeah, he's right. I know the train comes. I know the train stop. I know that possibility exists, and I choose how I operate. I can choose to say, okay, I am going to stand here, and I'm going to risk the 10% chance I'm late because it saves me time in the long run. That's a risk analysis. Or I'm going to spend an extra 10 minutes of my day every day to never be late. You choose. And life's not fair. No one ever said it was. It's not supposed to be. Some people are born super rich. Everybody lives their own lives in their own worlds. So anyway, look, man. I don't think like Marcus Aurelius is the smartest guy who ever lived or anything like that, but he certainly had some very great philosophies and said some great things that I think are really great. He says, waste no time arguing about what a good man should be one. There you go. That's great. Waste no time arguing about what a good man should be one. I will counter with this, good sir, Marcus Aurelius. A good man, being a good man, and achieving things good men should argue about what good men should be after the fact. So the idea that I agree with this statement, right? If you're just some guy and you're like, good men should do this, but you don't practice what you preach, you are wasting time. Be a good man. Now, if you are a good man, by all means, you are then going to come out and argue for what it should be. He says, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. I like this guy. My friends, do the rage rooms if you want to do the rage rooms. You live your life. Don't let me tell you how to live. I just don't like it. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.